Not too long ago, I got the absolutely insane opportunity to go back in time and give my younger self some home gym advice. So I thought I'd share a little bit of that conversation as an intro to today's video. So one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you is to hopefully try and save both of us some time, money, and headaches when it comes to working out. So you're saying I start working out, but bro, you don't even look like you lift. So what are you, the YouTube comment section? What's a YouTube? Oh man, never mind, back to working out. Girls for the girls, am I right? Sure, but anyway, look, you're gonna do some dumb stuff when it comes to building a home gym. I got news for you, buddy. You're the one who did the dumb things. I haven't done anything yet. I'm just a baby. Oh wow, mom was right. I really was a pain in the ass when I was a kid. Anyway, here's the moral of the story. Whatever you do, don't buy two Bowflexes. I mean those things I see on TV and the infomercials with that super hot chick? Yeah, that's it. You bought two of those? Yeah. What, was it like a buy two, get the hot chick free sale? No, look, we just didn't have enough time or money to get an actual weight set in the apartment that we lived in at the time. Ah, so that's why you don't look like you lift. Hey, you know, you're like just insulting yourself, right? Okay, Bowflex, no money or space for weights, got it. And, well, instead of being smart, we fell for advertising. Man, I don't know about your falling for advertising thing, but do you even remember what that Bowflex model looks like? Yowza. All right, you got me. That was definitely part of it, but they made such a big deal out of it. Could do all of these things in like one small space for just a low price, and it turns out that it couldn't. And, well, they offered it financed for like 56 bucks a month. And, well, it wasn't all that great at anything, and we didn't have $56 a month either. So you bought two. So do I get dumber as I get older? Yeah, kind of, at least for like a little while anyway. Well, Professor Positive, you come back to give me any good news or just tell me what a disappointing future I have in store? Yes to both of those, but just for now, remember that there's other options. And please, for the love of all that's good in home gyms, don't buy a Bowflex. Or two. Yeah, or two. And the other option, you said we had no space and no money, right? Yeah, but there's like a really, really good way to address that now. Oh yeah, smart guy? How's that? Well, that's why I'm making this video. Pow. Welcome back to the GymCrafter YouTube channel, everybody. My name is Tim. I am the all-grown-up head gym nerd here at GymCrafter.com, the website that I built to help ordinary folks like you and I build home and garage gyms that we absolutely love. And you know what? It is really hard to build a home or garage gym that you absolutely love when you're limited on space and you're limited on money, and that describes a lot of folks that I talk to. They want to build a gym, they see the value of lifting weights, they see the value of fitness, they just don't have a way to get one in their home. And today, hopefully, I've got a solution for a lot of you. This video has lived in my head for a very long time. I've been wanting to bring this to you guys for quite a while because I think what I've got is the single best super small footprint solution for those of you that want a complete gym in your house that you're not going to regret buying, that's going to be able to help you train effectively, get stronger, get healthier, but again, take up a very small footprint in your house and not a ton of money out of the budget.
This seems too good to be true, no?
Now, typically when you Google or you search or you look on YouTube for compact or small home gyms, what you'll find is you'll find things like you see behind me. You'll see all-in-one trainers where they talk about in the space of a power rack or a squat rack, we're going to put your functional trainer and we're going to put your cables and we're going to put your Smith machine and you're going to be able to lift with a barbell on it. And even though that sounds great, they're putting a lot in a smaller space, this still takes up a lot of space. By the time you have a Smith machine or a barbell and you leave space on either side to actually be able to load the weights, you're looking at 120 plus inches from left to right, which is not a small space. You're looking front to back, you're looking at another 50 or 60 inches as well, especially if you want to store any weights on your rack or anything like that. So these, while they have a lot of stuff in one space, they aren't small.
Big, small, big, small, big, small, big, small, big, small, big, small, big, small.
And when you're talking about a family, especially where you've got your garage or your basement's full of big wheels and washers and dryers and bicycles and lawnmowers and all that kind of stuff, a lot of times People just can't find room for something like this physically. The other thing is, even if you go with an entry-level all-in-one trainer, right? You go with a budget level, something for $1,200, $1,500. A lot of them are up to $2,000, $2,500, which on the grand scheme isn't all that much compared to some home gym builds. You're buying something that's low quality. You're buying something, you're sacrificing on quality to hit a low price point.
Don't you be cheap, okay? Don't be cheap.
So the reason I've been so excited to bring you guys this video and to bring you guys this solution is this is not only a gym that's going to fit in a very small footprint, it is high quality stuff that's going to grow with you down the road, that you're never going to have to replace because it breaks, that you're going to be able to pass on to your kids if you want, that you're going to enjoy using, and you're going to be able to keep it in a system and scale it up over time. A lot of times with these small all-in-ones, it is what it is, right? If you want to change stuff down the road, you want to grow down the road, you're literally getting rid of the all-in-one and starting over from scratch. The gym setup that I want to share with you guys today can be just the beginning of a much larger gym if you decide to do that down the road, and you won't need to get rid of a single thing. So hopefully you can see why I'm so excited to tell you guys about this and why I'm so excited to make this video, because I really do think it's going to help a lot of people. And even for those of you out there who have a nice setup for a gym, what I'm going to share with you guys today makes a great addition to an existing gym as well. So let's get started and let me show you what we're talking about step by step, how to build the world's best small footprint, low budget home gym. Step one in building any home gym is determining how much space you have. Now for this particular build, we're going to need a space that's 3 feet by 3 feet. Now the gear that we're putting in here is only about 29 inches by 29 inches, the actual footprint. However, you're gonna wanna leave just a little bit of room around the outside, either to kind of stash something here or there, or just to leave it a little bit of room to breathe. But just a 3 foot by 3 foot section, just find an empty area or corner of your garage or your basement. Now you're also gonna need some room out in front of the equipment that we're gonna put in that 3 by 3 spot to work out. I would say if you can leave 6 to 8 to 10 feet, 10 feet ideally, where you can just clear it out. You don't need a ton of room left and right, but you're gonna wanna be able to be in front of the equipment that we're installing and kind of be back a little bit if you need to. 10 feet is the most I would need. Now, that doesn't need to stay clear permanently. If that means you need to move a bike and a big wheel out of the way to do that, that is totally okay. That space does not need to be permanently cleared out. The other thing that you're going to need is you're going to need just a little bit of room here and there to store a couple of things. Nothing large, but you're going to want, something where you can lean some weight plates up against something, or you're going to want a little bit of a corner of something to put an attachment or an accessory for what we're going to build. But you don't need anything major, and you're going to be able to stash this anywhere in your basement or your garage or wherever you are planning to put this particular gym. Now, let's get to step two, which is the base unit that we're gonna build this gym around. Now, when you're building a non-traditional home gym like this, what you want to think about is what your training goals are. And when you're just training for general fitness and preparedness, which is what most of us are training for, what you want to think about is, how do I train the 6 foundational movement patterns of humans? That's pushing, pulling, squatting, hinging, lunging, and carrying. If you can train those 6 fundamental movement patterns, you have a complete home gym. And I can think of very few ways to train all of those movement patterns in one small footprint than a cable tower like this one. Now, this one is specifically not exactly what I'm going to recommend for you guys, but it's close enough. This is the Bells of Steel single stack cable tower. Now, this one is selectorized, meaning that it's got a weight stack. It's got a 210-pound weight stack, but this unit's a little bit over $1,000. What I'm going to recommend for you guys, especially you guys on a budget, but even those you guys not on a budget, I'm going to recommend for this build out that you use the plate loaded version. The reason for that is we're going to use those plates for other things. If you use the selectorized version, not only does it cost more, the plate loaded version is just over $400 depending on where tariffs are at this particular moment. But that's a lot less than you're going to spend on this, and that's going to leave you room in the budget to buy other things, and those other things are going to make this setup a lot more versatile than if you start with the selectorized. Now that said, after watching this video, you may decide that you want to start with the Selectorize, and you can definitely do that. But for the purposes of this video of staying under a certain budget, we're going to recommend going with the plate-loaded 80-inch version of the Bells of Steel cable tower. Now, they do make a 90-inch version, and you can definitely do that if you want something a little taller. There's a lot of options here, but for this video, this is what we're going to start with. The footprint of this is, I believe it's like 29 inches by 29 inches. Again, you're going to want a 3 foot by 3 foot section. This one, I'm 6'6". Right here is the top of the unit. So this is right at 80 inches, I think, to the most top portion, and it's going to give you the ability to have a 250-pound weight capacity and both a 2-to-1 and a 1-to-1, and then also dual pulleys. Now, if you want a review of this particular thing, I did post a review on the Bells of Steel cable towers, so if you want more details on this particular piece of equipment, definitely check out that review. I'll put a link down below to that. But for the purpose of this video, you now know everything you need to know about this, which is it's just over $400 in a plate-loaded version, and you are in a small space. And step number 2 is, you guessed it, you're gonna need to buy some weights. So let me give you some tips on what to buy. First of all, if we're trying to save money, I would look on Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace consistently has tons of weights on sale. On average, you're gonna spend about 75 cents per pound for weights. However, you can get them as low as 50 cents per pound, even less sometimes depending on the quality. Here's what you're gonna look for. You're not going to buy bumper plates. The reason you're not gonna buy bumper plates is bumper plates are too thick. Now, these aren't bumper plates, these are rubber coated steel plates, which would be a great option. Bumper plates are probably twice this thick, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to maximize the amount of weight you can get on the weight horns of the Bells of Steel cable tower. Now, this has a total weight limit of 250 pounds. So when you're looking at how much weight to buy, I would buy 250 pounds to start off with. And then that way you're gonna be able to max out this. If you don't think you can lift that much, you can start out with less. But typically what that means is you're gonna spend a couple $100 on weights. So by the time you buy the cable tower, which is gonna come with some D handles so that you can use it, we'll talk about attachments in a second, and you buy the weights, for $600 or so, you've already got a great gym that you can do a lot with. The other thing that I would recommend is, if you can, look for weights with handles. The reason for that is if we're trying to make things multi-purpose, you can actually do some stuff with weights with handles that you can't do with weights without handles. You can use them for shrugs, you can use them for carries, you can use them for all kinds of stuff that kind of substitute for maybe dumbbells in kind of a DIY way. But again, we're trying to make this as versatile as possible in a small footprint. So again, you're gonna look for about 250 pounds of weight plates. You're gonna look for thin iron or rubber coated plates, preferably with handles if you can find them. And again, my recommendation is Facebook Marketplace. Now, if you don't like buying things on Facebook Marketplace, that doesn't make you comfortable, I will put a link down below to some plates which I think will work for you. They're gonna cost you more than 50 cents a pound, but you're gonna get a brand new set of plates shipped to your door, and budget's not too big of a concern. That way you get a whole new set of plates and you don't have to worry about, meeting somebody in the parking lot to pick up some weight plates. So let's move on to step 3. Now, the next step in this process is to buy the attachments that allow you to actually use a cable system. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to recommend, and I'll put a link to the set down below that I recommend, a $70 set of basic attachments on Amazon. That's going to get you a lat pull-down bar, that's going to get you a V-bar, that's going to get you a little curl bar, that's going to get you a tricep rope. It's going to get you a bunch of the basic accessories that you need to use the machine. Now, there's a lot of people out there who are attachment kind of snobs, like I might be.
Such a snob. Oh my God. A first class snob.
I've got a lot of attachments here, which I'll show you in a second, that I prefer over those basic ones. But again, trying to get you a functional gym that works in a small space that you can get for a reasonable price. $70 for a complete set of attachments that are honestly not too bad for what they are, will get you working out. And that's where you could stop. You don't need to watch any more of this video. You could just do those things. You could buy the unit, the weights, and those attachments, and you've got everything covered. Now, a couple of things that I like about attachments is I like the fact that you can buy nicer ones. So just as a heads up, if you do want to buy some nicer attachments, the ones that I like a lot, that I use a lot, I like the Rep Fitness Atlas attachment. I don't think you need to buy the whole 3-pack that has the 2 different sizes and the V-bar. I think that just this one long one works great for you. I think that this American Barbell V-bar is fantastic. I use this all the time. I like this a lot more than I like the Rep Fitness one, which is up here as well. They cost the same. This one's just a lot more functional. Eclipse grips and a Rev bar from my friend Matt Porter. These are very expensive attachments, but I use them a lot. I do like the mag grips. These are fantastic for pull downs and rowing. I'll put the link to some of these down below. That'll give you an idea of where you can go with attachments. But again, just that basic set of attachments that you can get from Amazon, you're done. Remember we talked about the 6 foundational movement patterns that you want to be able to train. So pushing, you can take your D handles and you can do presses on this at various different angles. So you can simulate an incline, a decline, a flat bench press right here and do plenty of pushing. Pulling, you can do both vertical and horizontal pulling with those attachments. You can do lat pull downs, you can do horizontal, you can do rows, you can do low rows, you can do different angle rows, you can do unilateral, which is 1 arm at a time rows. So you've got the pushing and the pulling down. Squatting, you can actually take the V-bar and hold it in a goblet position and then do a squat using the resistance from the cable system. So you've got your squatting. Your hinging, you can do what are called Romanian deadlifts, where you're holding the weight in with the small curl bar and then doing what are called RDLs, which are a great hamstring exercise and a great hinging exercise. So you're covering all of those. You've got your push, you've got your pull, you've got your hinge, you've got your squat. You can definitely do lunges. This is where you have to start to get a little bit creative, where you're going to hold on to some weight and then lunge with the cable system in your hand. I'm going to show you a way to do better with that, but you can do that. And then carries are the one where you're just going to take those weights with the handles and you're going to be able to do carries. You can also do lunges with weight plates. You can hold the weight plate here and do lunges. You don't need a lot of weight, even a single 45-pound plate. With the handles, again, it's easy to hook 2 plates together and hold them firmly. So I got to tell you, if you put 2 45-pound plates and hold them right here and do lunges, you're going to be able to do some pretty effective lunges. So again, with just that setup, basic attachments, cable tower, some weight plates with handles, you're going to be able to train all of those 6 fundamental movement patterns with no issues. And we're at just under $700 in a 3x3 section of your garage with a little bit of room out in front to work. Let's make this setup better though. So as well as that setup works, when I built this setup in my garage gym, and actually this is where this comes from. So there was a time where I was without a rack for quite a few months. I was waiting for a manufacturer to send me a rack for review. I had sold the one that I had already reviewed and I didn't have a place to train. And that just doesn't work for me. So I bought this Bells of Steel cable tower, knowing that I could do what we're talking about now, knowing I could get a full body workout on just one piece of equipment. I wanted a cable tower anyway, so I bought it. But what I realized, and which you probably realized by me kind of describing the movements you can do, is this is very good at pushing and pulling. It's very good at that Romanian deadlift. It's very good at kind of the goblet squats, but upper body is its strength. It's kind of, you got to get really creative on these to do lower body stuff. So that's why I added one of these. And this is a lever belt squat. This is the Mammoth Belt Squat by Fringe Sport. This is a $300 piece. So you've now added this. We're still under $1,000. We're right just under, really in the $900 range once you add this. But the cool thing about this is this now allows you to do belt squats. And that is a really great lower body exercise. And I just don't think you can get as effective a lower body or leg workout with just cables as you can with the Mammoth Belt Squat. Now there's other things you can do. You can, instead of attaching the belt to it, you can attach a handle and you can do RDLs, again, like you would do with the cables, but they feel a little different, and to me they feel a little bit better. You can get creative and do a kind of a straight-legged deadlift with it. You can do some bent over rows with this, with a little bit of a different feeling and a little bit of a different arc of your movement pattern. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this belt squat that will really help you maximize, again, again, this small footprint. Now remember at the beginning I said you're gonna need room to store a couple of things. So that's one of the drawbacks of this, is this you do need to find a place to store. Now it stores, you know, on its end with no problem. This kickstand lowers down, so it gets out of the way pretty easily. However, you do need a place to put it. So that might be one drawback for some of you. But when I built the gym, I added this next, and that really opened up a lot of possibility. Let me show you what I added after this. It opened up even more, and you'll start to see what I'm talking about this being an absolutely complete gym on its own or growing with you. The next thing I'm going to add to this gym is something that doesn't cost a lot of money. It's another $50, $60, $70 part. Now the one I'm going to show you that I bought is a lot more than that, but you don't need to buy this one. This is a landmine. You can attach this landmine to the front post or the front foot here, and what you need to go with the landmine is you need a barbell. So I would recommend this, and then the Rep Fitness Delta Basic Bar. The Basic Bar is a $200 barbell. It's a great bar for the price. I don't know that I would ever recommend a barbell that costs less than that. You're going to have issues with it wearing out over time. You're gonna have issues with corrosion. You're gonna have issues with it bending, possibly breaking. But the Rep Fitness Delta Basic Bar is a great way to go. So now we're just over $1,000. We're right in the $1,100 price point range. Now, keep in mind, we are still well under the price point of an inexpensive all-in-one trainer, especially considering those inexpensive all-in-one trainers don't come with weights. You're really not gonna get into one of those for under $2,000 after you buy weights for the thing. So we're about half the price of one of those. And when you add a landmine, you add a myriad of exercises that you can do that really up the ability to train on this in a lot of different ways. You can now train every single fundamental movement pattern in a ton of different ways. You can add a ton of variety. And the cool thing is, as I mentioned a few times, none of this stuff is stuff that you would need to sell if you decide to create a bigger gym. If you get more room, if you move, you've changed places where you live, if you decide, hey, like I did at one point, I'm like, I'm gonna park the car outside now because I want the gym more than I want to park the car in the garage. These things all grow with you. These are all things, everything I've shown you are things that you are going to want to have in a bigger home gym. Even the barbell, even though we don't have a rack, not only can you use the barbell and the landmine, again, landmine is one of the most versatile tools that you can have in a gym, and it just snaps right on the front, doesn't take any room to store. A barbell you can just lean up in a corner, but now you can also start doing with your weights. You can do deadlifts from the floor, you can do floor presses, you can do hip thrusts, you can do all kinds of stuff with that barbell without actually racking it. So you can do curls, you can do a ton of stuff. And again, like I said, this is a super versatile home gym setup. It doesn't cost a ton of money, and it's gonna grow with you down the road. And we're not done growing it yet. So as I've mentioned a couple times, you've now got a complete gym. You're in a 3x3 space. You need a little room out front, like I said, to work out. You haven't spent a ton of money. You can definitely stop building at that $600 or $700 price point. If you get the belt squat, you're just over $1,000. But let's say that you want to continue to grow. And that's, like I said, that's one of the beautiful things about this setup is that it can continue to grow with you and your training needs. If your budget grows, if you decide to add a piece down the road, there's a bunch of stuff you can do. So let me kind of share with you some of the things that I added to mine or that I used with mine while I was waiting for my rack to come in and that I still use to this day. Number one, something to sit on is really nice. I do like doing rows not sitting on the floor. With the setup I've described so far, both your rows and your pull downs you're going to do sitting on the floor. Now I would advise scooting up nice and close to this, and then one thing I will give you a heads up on is these things need to be secured. This is going to need to either be secured to your wall, it will come with the hardware to do that, or you're going to need to bolt it down to your floor. That's something you need to know that you're going to have to do. Go back and watch my video, my full review on these guys. I cover that completely in that video. But it's nice to not have to sit on the floor to use it, and that's where a bench or a plyo box or something like that comes in. I had benches already, so it's not something that I needed to spend money on, but again, it's something that you might want to do. Benches will allow you to do a few things. Number one, it will allow you to sit on something to do your rows and your pull downs. That in and of itself, a cheap Amazon Basics bench, which doesn't cost a whole lot of money at the most basic. If you want to get something nicer, even like a really nice flat bench from Rep Fitness only costs a couple $100, but something to sit on is something that I really like having in this setup. The next thing is there are some attachments made for these towers which really expand their functionality. Some of them are made by a gentleman named Matt Porter. Matt's a friend of mine who owns a company called Porter Phys Ed, and he started this company making attachments for this specific bells of steel cable tower. So a couple that you might want to be aware of. He's got a lat pull down attachment that mounts on top. It raises that pull point and brings it out further over your head so you can do your lat pull down straight down. With the way that this is set up, you've got to do it from the top of the pole. And even if you scoot up real close to this to pull, you're still kind of pulling at an angle. This attachment really solves a lot of issues. It will also allow most of you, unless you're super tall like I am, to start pulling from a seat instead of on the floor, which is really nice to have. He also makes what he calls a fly arm attachment, which will add 2 arms to the outside, which will take up more room this way on your wall, but will allow you to do cable flies and things where you want those attachment points further out than just on the center pole. He also makes something called a TNT Hellbox, and that's an add-on to the Fringe Sport lever belt squat, which now adds horizontal storage horns so that you can put more weight on it. So at some point you may want to have more than 250 pounds, especially for your squats. So that will allow you to put more plates and load them on the side, which is a whole lot more comfortable. It also gives you a handle to hold on to, and it also gives you that handle that articulates so that you can do more than just squats. Adding a handle that articulates onto the Fringe Sport belt squat allows you to do a ton more movements with that belt squat than just squatting in some rows and things like that. So when we're adding functionality and versatility, now those are definitely going to start raising the price of the overall thing. And I just wanted to give you those as just a few examples of ways that you can expand and grow down the road with a setup like this. So there you have it. Like I said, this video has lived in my head for a really long time. I've been really wanting to share it with you guys because as I help people build home gyms, and over the course of the many years I've had GymCrafter as a business, I've helped thousands of people build home gyms. And the number one stumbling block for people is space. Number 2, usually closely followed by budget. And this really solves both of those problems. So hopefully, if there's a bunch of you out there who are going, hey, I didn't think I could have a home gym like I did in the intro, you can have a talk with your younger self and learn that there are solutions for you. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions on this setup, please let me know in the comments down below. If any of you have this type of a setup, chime in the comments down below and let other people know what you think. Other things, I did not by any means get into all of the different movements and exercises and ways you can train on a setup like this. So share those down in the comments below. And like I said, even if you've got a full gym, this is a really cool setup that you can put in the corner of your gym that really complements a rack. And everything that I just described will cost you less, especially since you probably already have weights. It'll cost you less than buying a lot of the standalone functional trainers and cable systems out there and be a lot more versatile. So there you guys have it. The world's smallest and best complete home gym. Hopefully you like that. Hopefully you like the channel enough to like and subscribe and share the video and all that kind of fun stuff. I appreciate you guys watching till the end. And until the next video, until the next assembly video, podcast, whatever you guys tune in here for, I'm Tim with GymCrafter.